even though they promised not to after they released a previous patch. Quote, the big update, as Ashton Williams put it, went live overnight again at 3:30 a.m. Eastern time, which I guess is a better time than during the day to download a 20 gigabyte monster. But after reading through the notes, people like me that wanted a Call of Duty World War II-esque overhaul that was rumored coming at the end of this month are going to be sorely disappointed that, much like what guys with small dicks say, size doesn't matter in this case, because most of it is probably relegated to hold the 3 new Spec Ops missions: Harbinger, Brimstone, and a new classic one called Door Kick. There's also some new shit for multiplayer, and by new, of course, I mean a game mode that's been in every Call of Duty game for 9 years now, with Gun Game, which coincidentally is the only way that you'll actually be killed by weapons other than the M4A1 and 725 shotgun that are still clearly the best in the game, even though they've been the recipient of several nerfs now, including a recent hotfix that went live on Tuesday. According to the patch notes, the SCAR got an increase in ADS time with reduction in penalties for attachments to offset this base time increase, but according to tests, the ADS time was actually sped up, meaning that the ADS time was decreased, not increased, which I know can get really confusing for someone like Ashton, having to write multiple pages of patch notes. Another buff was handed out to the AUG in the form of the 5.56 magazine attachment bugs that Drifter pointed out actually getting fixed. In order to appease competitive players, thermal scopes are now able to see through smoke nades, even though it's not the realistic implementation that Infinity Ward was going for. See guys, isn't it easy to make the game play better even when it's not realistically accurate? Now apply this philosophy to the rest of the goddamn game so it's not a tactical campy fuckfest. More on smoke, the shield turret kill streak had a bug where it could see through smoke at certain angles with the side panels that is now patched. Also in kill streaks, the infantry assault vehicle caught a nerf in terms of damage radius and lethality of the turret. Hopefully this applies to all of the tanks in general, even though they should also make the hilltop area of Tovorsk an unplayable space instead of having douche canoes raining down shots from essentially an out-of-bounds to infantry area. On to perks, as there were lots of fixes that were made for certain situations because QA apparently couldn't get through all of the permutations for testing. Spotter was not working at all in free-for-all, as well as in all game modes not marking UAVs, and they also buffed it to brighten those outlines. Quick Fix was not giving faster health regen when getting kills with a throwing knife, Amped was not stowing the riot shield as quickly as it should, and EOD was glitching out HUDs after hacking claymores. It's too bad that they couldn't make the perks actually counter the things that they say they do, like EOD taking out 95% of your health from explosions instead of, let's say, 50 where it should be, Cold-Blooded only countering certain AI targeting systems, and Battle Hardened still lets tactical nades impede your movement and/or vision. Maybe that's why Dead Silence is a field upgrade instead of a perk, because some of the perks might as well be, considering they're like Sex Panther. 60% of the time they work every time. Speaking of which, footstep audio has again been adjusted for crouch and ADS walking, which encourages even slower movement, but hey, it's at least better than encouraging sitting, which is still what this current meta does. The amount of time an execution animation plays has been shortened, so that it's less likely that you'll get shot and killed while doing so, thus giving up that kill that you should have earned. The kill feed has been decluttered for virgins that still go for clips in 2019 to remove avenged, saved, and rank ups, because this ain't Fortnite, baby, and not everybody needs a goddamn trophy. In game modes where you can spectate players, the camera getting stuck has finally been fixed, although it still takes eons for the game to transition between players because loading assets is difficult on hardware that was obsolete when launched, and combat records have been updated with CTF and Hardpoint, in which the latter was added as a new game mode with the 2 new maps that were introduced back earlier in the month. But this is the first time I've seen the former as Capture the Flag being in Modern Warfare. Thanks devs for leaking out your own shit, and more on those later. Of course, since math is an Infinity Ward strong suit, progression, challenges, and missions have had another pass of fixes. Before I go into the leaks, the community seems to be harping on skill-based matchmaking, which shouldn't be an issue if Infinity Ward had actually had a ranked playlist where ELO should be implemented, but since this is a game that is more fractured than what Mason Rudolph's skull would have been had the helmet strike actually caught him in the right place, in spite of there being no competitive playlist, there is a realism one, ground war one, gunfight one, a 6v6 one, and a 20v20 one. Even with crossplay giving a bigger player population than ever, watering down the playlist into so many different options isn't good for player dispersion by design. This game needs a ranked playlist so that people that want to have that experience can opt into it instead of being forced into it via the normal public playlist. My stats are complete shit in this game because I don't like playing like a fucking twat waffle, but since skill isn't actually rewarded in this game because a camping tactical playstyle is much easier skill-wise than a rushing one. Player stats in this game, which are taken into account with an ELO-based ranking system, are artificially deflated anyways, as they're not actually an indicator of your pure skill. So what you're left with is a completely inconsistent experience, which also explains the inconsistent data that has been gathered by people that are trying to test this out in the first place. So, on to leaks not accidentally divulged in patch notes, as data miners have found a lot of 411 about an upcoming Battle Royale mode, most of which we already knew from rumors, but it's good to see these things actualized in code. A ton of the zones referenced in the Battle Royale had been referred to in the giant fuck-off list of 38 maps, including Gulag, which I had originally thought was Gulag Showers from Gunfight, but with a different name, and maybe it being expanded to include the outside spaces, but it actually refers to a mechanism to respawn back into the Battle Royale match. There is one respawn token per player. In order for it to be used, a surviving teammate must drop the dead player at an ambulance to enter the Gulag Gauntlet, as it's called. That's basically a 1v1 where winning will allow you to get back into the match, while losing sends you to the next person in the queue, with a jailbreak happening randomly that allows all of the players in the Gulag back into the Battle Royale match, upon which they need to find a mobile armory to retrieve their loadout. If you're waiting your turn to play your 1v1, you can actually place bets on the current combatants using Plunder, which apparently is a special in-game currency that you can earn via killing enemies and completing missions that can be activated by finding tablets scattered around the map, like capturing a point or assassinating a specific player. This Plunder can also be used to purchase game-changing items at Plunder Box locations, or be converted into XP by depositing it into ATMs that will sound a bank alarm when triggered to notify nearby enemies. Just reading this makes me want to play Radical Heights again, especially after the Steam update that now shows you all of the free games that you have played in your library list, whereas before all the free-to-play games wouldn't show up in that list that were grayed out. Fuck this Battle Royale shit, just give me back Radical Heights, goddammit. Anyways, there are 200 players per match, which is double what we've seen in other Battle Royale offerings, along with a max health of 150 and 3 different levels of helmets and armor, so that you don't insta-die like in multiplayer, to hopefully make this game mode a lot less campy. There are more perks available in the Battle Royale mode than in multiplayer, and hopefully they actually work unlike their counterparts in multiplayer, and there are references to kill streaks which should certainly spice up the game, like Juggernauts having a restriction on them where they can't loot anything. Similar to other Battle Royale games, there are loot rarities, which it's unclear what they refer to. Is it a system similar to Apex Legends, where better attachment rarities give better upsides, or if it's like Blackout, where they're better gun rarities that have weapons already pre-kitted out for you, like the gold and purple ones. As for the mode itself, I feel like it's going to suffer the same fate as Firestorm did in Battlefield 5, that was added into the game months after launch and flopped miserably after the first month it was introduced, because it wasn't available at day one, and it's behind a $60 paywall instead of a free-to-play offering like most other Battle Royale games are. However, there are some differences, namely that the Battle Royale mode for Battlefield 5 was announced during the reveal, whereas there's been no official mention of the mode yet for Call of Duty, and the failure of Firestorm probably has much more to do with the implementation of the worst looting system ever that is still fucking shite and hasn't been patched yet, in spite of them promising to do it for several months now, and that's much more important than its delay and not being a standalone offering, which leaks claim it will be part of the entire Modern Warfare package as a new slice on the main menu. Also in leaks, loading screen images for Crash from the original Modern Warfare, you know, the one that had a 4 in its name, and Cargo, not the map from Black Ops 2, but a remake of another COD 4 map, Wetwork, although the still image looks like it's from the interior part of the Crew Expendable mission with the roof door open on the top, versus the intro exterior part like in the multiplayer version of the game. 2 new weapons have also been found, the Vector SMG, which has been in every Infinity Ward game since Modern Warfare 2 in some form aside from Modern Warfare 3, and a crossbow which hasn't been in one for this studio but looks similar to the poster on St. Petrograd. It's been said that base weapons can be unlocked just through playing the game, so we'll see what that means going forward, as the Battle Pass won't be revealed until December, but data miners have found the logo for ranking up the confirmed 100 tiers that are, of course, purchasable with COD points, so I hope that these weapons won't be part of the grind wall, but instead some of those upcoming 13 operators that have also been leaked will be those higher end rewards instead. I don't have high hopes for the monetization of this game, considering that it's been delayed until December, and it was revealed that Modern Warfare sales are down 11% from Black Ops 4, although the prior game was released 2 weeks earlier, so there are more days to have more sales for Black Ops 4. Without the anachronistic in 2019 Battle Pass bundle that forced players into the deluxe edition due to fear of missing out with Black Ops 4, the average selling price per unit is also down year over year, and this means that there is at least a minimum $40 million in revenue difference between the games, which is impossible to calculate because I don't know which of the various upcharge editions of the games that people bought. Even with Call of Duty Mobile's $57 million in revenue for October, more than making up for it, I can't see the mobile game continuing to make up for the shortfalls of an almost universally loathed console and PC game, because Black Ops 4 still had a honeymoon period for a few months before Activision, spelt with a dollar sign, completely ran it into the ground with its monetization practices. This then means we're going to have to look out for more rampant upcoming avarice taking hold of this major moneymaker for the greedy publisher. So how disappointed are you with this patch? As I'm glad that I'm going on vacation, or holiday as you peeps across the pond call it, actually to the UK for a week starting on Sunday and then coming back for Tuesday, December 3rd. So this way I don't have to feel bad about not playing the supercalifragilisticexpial atrocious game in the meantime. I've been the Schwans27, making like a divorce and splitting. Until next time.